You don't get rich by working hard. You get rich by thinking differently. This statement isn't meant to discredit hard work. It's meant to expose a brutal truth. Most people are grinding every single day, waking up early, staying up late, sacrificing their health, their families, their sanity, and still they're broke. Why? Because effort without strategy is like running on a treadmill. You sweat, you suffer, but you never move forward. The world has conditioned us to believe that hard work is the holy grail of success, but the wealthy know something different. They know that mindset beats mechanics. They know that leverage beats labor. And they know that wealth is born in the mind long before it shows up in the bank account. Think about this. Two people can work the same job, put in the same hours, and live two completely different financial lives. One is constantly struggling, barely scraping by. The other is stacking cash, investing, building. What separates them? It's not talent, it's not luck, it's perspective. It's the way they interpret opportunity. The poor mindset sees obstacles. The rich mindset sees openings. The poor mindset focuses on limitations. The rich mindset finds leverage. The person with the rich mindset doesn't ask, how much does this cost? They ask, what's the return on this investment? One looks at the price tag, the other sees the potential. It's a different language. It's a different frequency. And most people are tuned to the wrong channel. They're programmed to trade time for money. They're stuck in a loop where working harder means earning slightly more. Never enough to break through, just enough to stay busy. The truth is, your financial ceiling isn't determined by your hours. It's determined by your thoughts. If you believe money is hard to get, you'll subconsciously push it away. If you think wealth is reserved for the lucky or the corrupt, you'll never chase it with conviction. If deep down you feel unworthy of success, you'll sabotage every opportunity that comes your way. Your outer world will always reflect your inner beliefs. Rich people don't just hustle, they build. They don't just do, they think. They spend more time creating systems than working inside them. They invest in assets, not just activity. They know that one idea, one shift in thinking, can produce more wealth than a lifetime of hard labor. So they guard their thoughts. They question their assumptions. They seek out new ways of seeing the world, because they understand that mindset is the true engine of success. If you want to be rich, stop asking how to work harder. Start asking how to think smarter. Because every dollar you earn, every opportunity you seize, every breakthrough you experience, it all begins with a thought. A single thought that says, there's got to be a better way. And there always is, but only for those willing to see it. Scarcity is a lie. Abundance is a decision. Most people walk through life believing there's not enough to go around. Not enough money, not enough opportunity, not enough time, not enough success. They've been conditioned to compete, to hoard, to fear. This scarcity mindset is one of the most dangerous beliefs a person can carry. It's invisible, but it shapes every decision. It whispers, "Don't take risks, you might lose." It says, "Play it safe, there's only so much to go around." It convinces people that someone else's success means less for them. But that's not how abundance works. That's not how the universe works. That's not how wealth is created. Scarcity is not a reality. It's a perception. It's a lens through which the world looks limited, even when it's overflowing. The truth is, we live in a world of infinite resources, infinite connections, infinite ways to win. But you won't see that if your mind is locked in fear. The scarcity mindset makes people focus on what they lack. It makes them chase security over growth, comfort over purpose. And as a result, they make small decisions. They turn down opportunities. They undercharge for their value. They shrink instead of expanding. Abundance, on the other hand, is a conscious choice. It's not about how much money you have in the bank right now. It's about what you believe is possible. It's about trusting that there's always more where that came from. People with an abundant mindset don't panic when things go wrong. They adapt. They don't envy others' success. They celebrate it, knowing that success is not a pie with limited slices. It's a fire, and anyone can add to it. When you shift into abundance, your whole approach changes. You stop asking, "Can I afford this?" and start asking, "How can I create the resources for this?" You stop seeing the world as a battlefield and start seeing it as a playground. You begin to understand that giving doesn't mean losing, that collaboration beats competition, that generosity creates flow. The people who rise the fastest are the ones who contribute without fear. They give time, energy, ideas, and because of that, they attract more. Scarcity is rooted in the past. It's built from childhood memories, societal programming, and inherited fear. Abundance lives in the present. It says, right now I have the power to shift my mindset. Right now I can open myself up to new outcomes. Abundance doesn't wait for proof. It creates proof. It's the belief that your thoughts, actions, and energy shape your reality, no matter what your current situation looks like. When you make that decision, when you choose abundance over scarcity, you stop being a victim of your circumstances and start becoming the architect of your life. You start looking for opportunities instead of excuses. You stop playing defense and begin playing offense. Because deep down, you realize that the only thing that was ever truly scarce was belief. Money follows value, not desperation. That simple truth is one most people never learn, and it keeps them broke. In life, in business, in relationships, people can feel your energy before they hear your words. If you're desperate for money, it shows. It leaks into your voice, your posture, your decisions. It makes you chase instead of attract. It makes you settle instead of negotiate. And worst of all, it pushes people away. Desperation repels wealth because it's rooted in fear. It screams, "I don't have enough," and money never flows to lack. It flows to confidence. It flows to purpose. It flows to value. We live in a marketplace, whether you're an entrepreneur or an employee. And in every marketplace, the ones who get paid are the ones who solve problems. That's the game. If you want to make more money, stop begging and start building. Start becoming the person who brings something to the table. People will always pay for results. They'll pay for transformation. They'll pay for speed, clarity, convenience, certainty. Anything that makes their life better, easier, or more profitable. But no one pays for need. You don't get paid what you need. You get paid what you're worth to others. Desperate people focus on taking. They're in survival mode, always chasing the next sale, the next dollar, the next bailout. But wealth builders focus on giving. They think, how can I serve more people? How can I solve bigger problems? How can I create something that matters? That's where real money is made. That's where wealth is built. It's not about trying to convince people to help you. It's about becoming someone so valuable that people want to be around you, learn from you, pay you, and grow with you. Think of it like gravity. Value creates pull. The more value you offer, the stronger your gravitational force becomes. People will be drawn to you, not because you're pushing or promoting constantly, but because you're delivering results. That's why the best in any field rise to the top. They aren't always the loudest. They're the most useful. And the moment you shift your focus from, "What can I get?" to, "What can I give that people actually need?" your income starts to change. Your influence grows. Your confidence skyrockets. Desperation also leads to short-term thinking. It makes you chase pennies and miss millions. You take low-paying jobs, bad clients, quick deals, all because you're operating from a place of fear. But when you step back and focus on building something of real value, you can say no, you can wait, you can negotiate from strength. And that's when the game changes. Because money, opportunity, and people begin to chase you, not the other way around. You become magnetic. You stop looking for rescue and start becoming the solution. And that's when the tide turns. Not when you beg for wealth, but when you embody it through the value you bring to the world. Your beliefs are either building your empire or burning it down. Every single result you see in your life, your bank account, your business, your relationships, is a direct reflection of what you believe to be true. Not what you say you believe, but what you actually believe deep in your core. You can chant affirmations all day long, but if you secretly believe you're not good enough, not smart enough, or not worthy of success, your actions will always betray that belief. Your subconscious will sabotage every opportunity, reject every blessing, and pull you back into a familiar place, one that matches your internal story. Most people don't realize they're living out a script they didn't even write. They picked it up from their parents, their teachers, society, or some failure they experienced years ago. And now it plays on loop. Money is hard to earn. Rich people are greedy. I'm not business-minded. I always mess things up. These aren't facts. They're inherited limitations dressed up as truths. And as long as they go unchallenged, they will quietly destroy your future. They become the glass ceiling you keep hitting. You think the world is holding you back, but it's your beliefs that are tying your hands. The mind is a powerful architect. It will build whatever blueprint you hand it. If you hand it scarcity, fear, and unworthiness, it will construct a life that reflects exactly that. You'll see missed chances, constant struggle, and no progress. But if you feed it with certainty, self-respect, and vision, it will start working for you instead of against you. You'll notice different opportunities. You'll take bigger risks. You'll move with boldness instead of hesitation. The shift is internal before it ever becomes external. Here's the raw truth. Most people are protecting their beliefs more fiercely than their dreams. They defend their limitations. They argue for why it won't work, why they're stuck, why they can't. And the universe agrees with them every single time. Because belief shapes behavior, and behavior creates results. You'll only show up with full power when you believe you're meant to win. You'll only invest in yourself when you believe you're worth it. You'll only keep pushing when you believe success is inevitable, not optional. You cannot outperform your identity. If you believe you're average, you'll act average. If you believe wealth is for others, you'll act like a spectator in your own life. You'll play small, you'll hesitate. And success doesn't show up for people who hesitate. It shows up for those who expect it, prepare for it, and act like it belongs to them. That kind of power starts with belief. If you want to change your income, change your internal narrative. Audit your thoughts. Challenge your assumptions. Ask yourself, who taught me this? Is it true? Is it serving me? Because until you rewrite the story you're telling yourself, you'll keep living a life that reflects someone else's truth, not your own. Action kills doubt faster than anything else. You can read all the books, listen to all the podcasts, attend every seminar, but if you don't move, if you don't act, nothing changes. The mind is a master at creating fear when there's no movement. It overthinks, overanalyzes, second guesses. It builds mountains out of molehills and paralyzes you with what-ifs. That's how people get stuck. Not because they're not capable, but because they're waiting for perfect conditions, perfect clarity, or perfect timing. But success never waits for perfection. It rewards momentum. It rewards those who step out in faith, not those who sit in fear. You'll never think your way into confidence. Confidence comes from evidence. It comes from taking messy, imperfect action and realizing you didn't die. You didn't fail completely. You moved, and the world didn't collapse. That's how you build belief. Not by sitting on your couch visualizing a better life, but by getting out there and making one. The moment you act, you shrink the fear. The unknown becomes known. The impossible becomes tangible. And suddenly, you're not the same person you were 5 minutes ago. You're someone who did something. That alone shifts your identity. Most people hesitate because they think they need to feel ready before they act. But readiness is a lie. If you wait until you're ready, you'll be waiting your entire life. Action creates readiness. Movement creates clarity. You don't need to know the whole path. You just need to take the first step. One call, one pitch, one post, one decision. That's all it takes to start building momentum. And once momentum starts, everything changes. Energy rises, confidence builds, ideas flow, opportunities show up. And it all starts because you decided to stop thinking and start doing. Even failure looks different when you're in motion. When you're sitting still, failure feels like a death sentence. But when you're taking action, failure becomes feedback. It's information. It's part of the process. You learn, adjust, and keep going. That's how winners think. They don't see failure as rejection. They see it as redirection. They don't wait for guarantees. They create results through sheer will and movement. While others are still planning, still doubting, still asking for permission, the ones who win are already on their third or fourth version, because they were willing to move when it was uncomfortable. Action is the great equalizer. You don't need a perfect background, the best education, or a massive network. If you can move when others freeze, you already have an edge. Because most people don't fail from taking the wrong action. They fail from taking none at all. They stall. They stay stuck in the same habits, same patterns, same mindset, and nothing changes because they refuse to move. They let doubt dominate their decisions. But the second you flip that switch and choose motion over hesitation, you start creating power. Power that compounds. Power that turns into progress. Power that eventually becomes momentum so strong it's almost impossible to stop. Gratitude is the gateway to abundance, not the reward for it. Most people get this completely backwards. They think, when I'm rich, then I'll be grateful. But it doesn't work that way. You don't attract more by complaining about what you don't have. You attract more by appreciating what's already in your hands. Gratitude changes your energy. It shifts your focus from lack to leverage, from what's missing to what's possible. And when you're in that state, you start making better decisions. You're not chasing out of desperation. You're creating out of inspiration. The truth is, gratitude isn't about settling. It's not about saying, this is enough, I don't need more. It's about acknowledging the value of where you are while still reaching for more. It's the mindset that says, I am thankful for this moment, and I know more is coming. That's not complacency, that's power. That's alignment. Because when you can find joy in the process, you're no longer ruled by outcomes. You're not waiting for the $1 million to feel fulfilled. You're already operating like someone who's wealthy on the inside, and that's what begins to manifest externally. Gratitude also rewires the brain. It breaks the addiction to negativity that so many people carry with them. Most people have trained themselves to look for what's wrong. The missed opportunity, the failed deal, the bad break. They dwell on losses and ignore wins. But when you build a daily habit of gratitude, you train your mind to scan for what's good, what's working, and what's progressing. That shift changes your state. It puts you in a place where creativity, solutions, and momentum can actually show up. Because let's be real, no good idea is born out of bitterness. Growth doesn't flourish in resentment. You need a fertile internal environment, and gratitude is the soil. In business, gratitude makes you magnetic. People want to work with those who radiate appreciation and presence. Clients, partners, teams, they can all feel your vibe. If you're constantly frustrated, entitled, or stressed, you'll repel the very opportunities you're chasing. But when you show up grounded, thankful, and open, people trust you. They feel safe around you. And when people feel safe, they invest, they refer, they commit. Gratitude builds relationships, and relationships are the real currency in every industry. You also stop comparing when you're grounded in gratitude. You're not obsessing over who's ahead or what someone else has. You're focused on your own lane, your own mission, your own timeline. That focus brings peace, and peace is a performance enhancer. It lets you operate from your highest self instead of your wounded self. You're not acting out of envy or fear. You're acting out of alignment. And that changes everything. Because when you can fully appreciate what's in front of you, you stop operating like a victim of circumstance and start acting like the creator of your reality. That's where power lives. Not in more things, but in a deeper awareness of what you already have and what you're capable of building from that place.